I wish to speak a little bit about reality not being real. Who is tired of being a victim? Anyone? Who is tired of being the victim of an existential, universal universe out there? Who is sick and tired of pretending to be at the receiving end of God's breath? Are you tired of pretending to be a victim of the universe? Then you have to realize there is no reality outside of yourself. I mean, there really is not a reality outside of yourself. What I mean by that is that there is no reality outside of yourself. Feel free to repeat this to yourself, because you've repeated the opposite in many different ways, many different times. There is no reality outside of yourself. What you think is real is just a mirror. Creation is the immediate result of being, the state of being. The state of being is the only reality. All that appears to be, all that appears to appear, is only, and I repeat, only a reflection of your state of being. Everybody see the mirror to your right? Okay, have a look at it. Try to find yourself. See your own face? No, literally, look that way. Don't look at it. Search for your own face. Now, if something appears to be wrong on that side of the mirror, do you go over there and try to change the reflection? Everybody, look really sad at yourself. Look really sad. So what you're seeing is a really sad world. You see a really sad reflection. What we are taught to do is to go over to the mirror and try to change that face in the mirror. Now, simply laugh. Smile. See how easy the reflection changes depending on your state of being? It is but a reflection. It is but a mirror. There is no reality outside of yourself. All that you're seeing is your own state of being. To the degree that you understand this, to that degree are you empowered. Are you God? Are you Goddess? To the degree that this dawns on you, are you perpetually in the positionless position, the only essence, which is that of being the creator. Imagine a painter having a canvas. He's painting a beautiful picture, or maybe an ugly picture. He's painting an ugly picture. Right? Like dark colors, so it doesn't make any sense. Chaotic, aggressive. Okay, that is your world. That's the painter's world at that moment. That's the world that it paints. That's a reflection of its state of being. And when the painter starts to believe that it is one part of that canvas, it identifies with part of the picture that he himself painted. He starts to identify himself with part of the picture that he himself painted. Then automatically you'll feel like a victim of your own creation. You'll feel like a victim of your own world, of your own reflection. Because you forget that you have the power simply by changing from doing to being. You create. By being, you create. By being, you express. Through being, you allow the reflection to reflect what you are. Just like the smile in the mirror is reflected. Don't try to change reality, because there is no reality. It is much like a dream. You are the painter. Not you, your thoughts. You as being. When attention is rested in close harmony with what we are, without being distracted for a little while with what appears to be, in other words, the reflection, but by simply being, by withdrawing focus from the mirror onto the fact that you exist, you again empower yourself to move without looking at the reflection. You empower yourself to be who you are without having to mind what's happening as your reality, as your apparent reality. Does that make sense? The shift from victim, looking at what's appearing, to being. When you be, you will notice a difference in experience. You notice a different quality, a different frequency, if you will. A much lighter frequency than when you're collapsed in the story of, oh, I am at the receiving end of a external reality. When you realize that you are the painter of that picture, you can walk away from the picture for a little while, catch your breath, reconnect with the fact that you are the painter, not the painting. And with that renewed energy, you come back to the canvas automatically. You cannot stop going back to the canvas, in a sense. So by being, you're world, the way it is reflected to you, the way that life is experienced by you, changes dramatically, even if the same things still seem to be appearing. The way you recognize what's appearing, the way you understand, the way you respond, the way you take in what is experienced changes, because you change. And inevitably, after some period of time, especially in this physical, seemingly physical reflection, it takes a little bit of time, apparently, because we're not used to change like that. By being, you change your reality, because there is no reality, you see? By changing yourself, you change everything. I quote Gandhi, be the change you want to see in the world. Don't look into the world. Look into being. At any given moment, you have only two options. Either to pretend to be the chooser of the options in your reality, or to be more aware, to be more enjoying that which you are, to enjoy more of the fact that you are, whether you focus on the reflection or not. You are. And more, you'll less and less see an external reality. Less and less you'll feel that there's actual solid things, linear time, space, reality, causality. And more you'll just feel the timelessness of your own state of being, to the degree that you realize that you are the painter simply by being again and again, being again and again. When you worry about, oh, but what about that? Return to being. There is no excuse not to be. The moment you're concerned with what appears, you pretend to be the painting. You pretend to be the reflection in the mirror, while you can very easily turn around and change your face to whatever degree you like to change your face. You don't have to wait for the mirror to do that. You don't have to believe in the external mirror in order for you to be what you want to be as you want to be. And as you want to be is simply to be. That's what you really want. What you want is to be yourself without a world. Before Adam and Eve ate the apple from the tree of knowledge, they had no definitions. There was no structure in the universe. There was no structure. There was no linearity. There was no victim, because there was no knowledge. There was only being. The moment they gained knowledge, and the rest is history.
So being is actually the absence of focus?
The absence of focus is the absolute. Beyond. Beyond, the beyond, the beyond, the beyond, perpetually beyond. It's the absence of focus. The very first focus, which is required for anything else, in a sense, the focuser, or the focusing, is being. The presence is being. If you can play with the nothingness and the beingness, which is, in essence, nothingness, but appears to be present, and vibrant, and clear, and awake, and here, and now, the more you play, go back and forth between the emptiness and the fullness, between the nothingness, the complete absence of focus, and the very first focus of love being presence, you'll be the painter. In fact, you'll be at ease even if the painter is not doing anything for a while. Even if there's no consciousness of a world, you're totally fine. But as you are in the world, it is important to realize that you are the painter. You're not the painting. You're not any part of the painting. You're not whatever you see. You are being there. Without you being there, there could not be the appearance of the painting. To know that is to shift back to your own natural state, your own natural frequency of being. If you trust in that, and not in the sense, oh, but what about? Oh, but what about this? Oh, but what about that? Oh. Yes, but there is an actual reality out there that I need to worry about. Oh. I'm not free. I'm a victim of the universe. I need to pay my bills. The moment you notice that, snap out of it. Don't pay your bills. Or do. But for a moment, actually do not pay your bills. Because there is no reality out there outside yourself. I repeat, there is no reality outside of yourself. To the degree that if you change your frequency to that extent, if you change to being, not to doing, not to acting, not to choosing, but to choose the only valid choice, which is to be, and to renounce all worries about an external universe. Because every concern pretends that there is a reality outside of yourself that you need to cling to, or work towards, or do something for, or be responsible for in any way whatsoever. The reflection you see is just one possible expression of the potential that you are. Therefore, if you seem to lose one of the reflections that was dear to you, you haven't lost a thing. Because you were the potential. You've just changed your face, and therefore obviously the reflection in the mirror changes its face. That does not mean you've lost the potential for the face that you experienced in the mirror previously. It just means that you changed, to some degree, on a deeper level, you changed your, shall we say, your frequency, or your, whatever you resonate with, whatever is known to be your natural state, your natural heart state. As that changes, as you become more aware of the you that you are, in a sense, the reflection inevitably changes to the degree where, within a certain period of time, you can live in a world without government, if you don't like a government. You can live in a world without taxes, if you really do not like taxes. One thing to notice is that if you have a quarrel with something that appears, it is very hard to transcend that experience. Why? Because you're not seeing it as part of yourself yet. You're still seeing it as an external reflection that you need to avoid. That's not what I'm saying here. So love, first come to terms with all that you hate. Love what you hate, and then there can be the simple wisdom that you simply do not any longer resonate with that reflection. But you've embraced it. You've loved it as one potential part of your own potential. One potential expression of your own potential. It's never out there. It's always one expression of your own potential. Can you see how nothing is ever lost? Your loved ones, your favorite things, your favorite activities, nothing is actually ever lost, because all that you've ever experienced is the potential of your own experience. There's never been a reality outside of yourself that you lose or gain. All that you've ever experienced is still here. You're just aware of a different potential. A different potential is being expressed right now as this experience. And the more you stay in tune with what you are, and completely forget about a world, the more you see only your own presence, to the degree where you're not even aware of the sense of an outside world. You see only your own presence, only your own empowerment as being God, Goddess, being, and beyond. The more you see only that, the more you realize that you've never gained anything, you've never won anything, you've never lost anything, you can never lose anything, you can never die. Experience is not ultimately real, it's just one possible potential being explored, one of an infinite amount of potential experiences. Therefore, all the potential of the entire universe is within you. Whatever you truly, for some reason, desire to experience, you will truly, at some level, in some time does not exist, at some point, experience. Why? Because it is your potential. Anything you can come up with, anything you can fantasize about, is happening, is in fact available, is in fact a potential that is, to some degree, already being expressed, but you're not aware of it. Everything, the entire potential that we call the universe, the entirety of the universe, is an expression only, not an outward expression, simply an experience, a self-experience of your infinite potential. How can potential ever die? Can the potential for something depend on the something? So right now, shift from assuming that there is an outside world to your natural vibration, if you will, your natural sense of your natural freedom to be, not to do. To be without having to be. Just to be. Just to be. Not this or that, but just to be. And just that being will become known to you to such an extent, to such a degree, that you will realize that the outside world really is but a reflection. And you will become fearless. The only reason that we know fear is because we identify with what's happening in the mirror. The moment we stare blind ourselves onto what's appearing in the mirror, we assume that we do not have any control. All the while, we're in complete control. Not necessarily the control that you might think of. On a deeper level, though, we are complete masters of our experience. Whatever we wish to experience, that is exactly what we're experiencing. Imagine coming into this world without conditioning. Imagine that you are the age that you are at now, physically, and you have the capacity to know to the extent that you have at this particular age, yet you just pop into this planet. You've never been born, you've never been raised, you have no knowledge of our society whatsoever. You're a complete alien. A complete alien. Imagine yourself popping into this world, not having any knowledge or definition of anything you perceive. Complete definitionless, structureless experiencing. All that you'll experience is your own presence, because you're not going out into knowledge. Knowledge creates the sense of an external world. Your own presence is all there is. Your own frequency, your own consciousness is all that there is. Imagine yourself, without your thoughts, without your conditioning. The definitionless state. Now imagine somebody's throat being cut right in front of your eyes. You have no knowledge. You have no definition of that experience. You just watch and you see it happen. Imagine that same knife cutting an apple. You have no definition of what's happening. The knife is cutting an apple. The point being is that ultimately all that appears is essentially neutral. The mirror is neutral. So however the experience is taken by you, that will be the experience. You can decide to smile at that same mirror, or you can decide to frown in that same mirror. You define your reality, you see. You define how whatever appears means something to you. A meaning is optional. And that which appears is not a reality. It is one potential appearance. It is an empty appearance. It's an appearance of emptiness, much like a mirage. So it spontaneously appears depending on whatever your, shall we say, state of being asks for, whatever your state of being wants reflected in that moment. That is the experience that is having. That's the experience that consciousness appears to be having at that particular time. And then we start giving meaning to what appears, based on conditioning.
So without conditioning, I can look at a throat being cut or an apple being cut, and they're equally neutral. And I won't try to run from one or go to another.
Not if you wouldn't have any definition of what's appearing. And that's just an extreme example. So see that however you take an experience is entirely up to you. Whatever your response is, whatever your vibrational response is, your response of whatever that is, depends entirely upon your beliefs about what's appearing. Completely. The canvas is neutral. Even as you're painting the colors, it is still neutral. Red may mean something to you, it may mean something entirely different to me. The painting is just a reflection of consciousness, and then we enact those beliefs, we project those definitions, those meanings.
When there are two people living together, and there's interaction.
It's Clash of the Titans.
No, it's a nice interaction. But I mean, there's some agreement somehow that these two beings are projecting their beingness with each other. I mean, that's the hard part for me to really...
Is it that hard?
I mean, the hard part is imagining that I am imagining everything in my world when there's another being.
Not physically. Consciousness is imagining everything. That's not necessarily a thought-based projection. Thought does not imagine everything. Thought gives meaning. Thought is the meaning-giving, the definition-giving principle. But beyond that is consciousness itself imagining, much like in a dream. In a dream, you don't think, oh, I'm in Canada right now. No, you just dream that you're in Canada. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So the projection has already taken place. The projection is based in your state of being. Then the state of being gets lost, so to speak, in its own reflection, starts to assume separate realities, and then the definition-making mechanism is important. Then it becomes a life-saving mechanism. Then it becomes a requirement in order to understand what's going on as an external real reality applying to us, poor little us. We need definitions, but we'll need less and less definitions. And the definitions that we do have become subtler, 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 more transparent to that spirit body which is the only reality in the isness of all that is. So the light of being starts to shine through the layers, the imaginary layers of the mental, emotional, and physical body. The moment there's less interference from those bodies, less the assumption of an autonomous, independent experiencer, but more the openness of being. Those bodies sort of open up and allow the pure stream, the pure undistorted natural state, whatever your natural state is at that moment, to shine through. Did that answer your question?
In theory.
In theory.
And I see the picture of it, but the reality of interacting.
Has your life changed over the years?
Yes.
There you go.
I hope so. Yeah.
Apparently your natural state, in a sense, your whatever you desire to experience has changed. Otherwise the reflection would not change. You would be caught in a snapshot. You would not even see any motion. It is because you desire a particular experience, because you resonate at a certain level with that particular experience. That's why these meetings take place. So if you have two people of a similar resonance, then they are bound to come together in some form. They are bound to experience their version of each other within this indivisible play of all here and now consciousness, illusion, play, inevitably so. So whatever you experience is the result of whatever you desire at a deeper level than you can think about. So when you sink into being, you become more in harmony, more in tune, more aware of what or who, vibrationally speaking, you are beyond what you think you are. And so you get more in tune, you gain more intuition of what you are, who you are, why you're here. So the story becomes clear. In a sense, it becomes more and more complex, but also more and more simple at the same time. Simpler and simpler because you're not lost in the painting, or less and less. So it becomes very simple because the answer is always to simply return to yourself, to be yourself. That's the only answer. In response to experiences, the only answer is to be as you are, to be more as you are, with less and less and less doubts, with less and less and less attachment to beliefs and structure. That will enlighten your experience. Does that make sense? And all the while you are, absolutely speaking, beyond the whole play. You are the enabler of the whole play to even appear in the first place. You are that absolute infinity, that ingraspability, that indescribability which cannot be expressed because it's not an experience. It's not even experiencing anything. It is simply absent. It is absence, and it knows, without knowing, only itself. It is only itself. It is only the one. It is only pure potential, and not even that. It is beyond this or that. It is indescribable. Absolutely speaking, you have always been that. The very first principle of what you are as presence is presence, which is the love, the beingness, the joy, and all that we know as enlightenment, so to speak. All that we know of as enlightenment. Does that make sense? So to the degree that we're conscious of the fact that really all there ever was in the realm of isness is isness itself. Our own, very own isness, which is not our own, so to speak, but the isness which is within us, which is ever accessible. To realize that that is all there is and that there is no reality apart from that isness, that in fact all that we experience as reality is one possible experience of that isness. That frees us up from being a victim of an external universe. Then again, we are, in fact, starting to know that we are God. We are, or Goddess, whatever you prefer. We've never been at the receiving end of anything. We've always been the giver. If anything, the universe is our victim. It has always been our victim, because it was never real to begin with. It is purely an expression of you. It is purely a reflection of you. From this state, does it make any sense to complain? Again, look in the mirror and dare to complain about the expression on your face. Do that to yourself. Suffer, if you will. You're so loved, you're allowed to suffer.
And then, aside from that, if someone was raped, how, and the whole Holocaust and all that, that's a question I raised, and I'm sure you've heard it before.
The famous Hitler question, yes.
Yeah. Evil, quote unquote.
Does everybody think I know him?
Beyond. So what is it in a person that attracts the vibration of rape? I mean, is genetically, what isness is? I mean, there's a lot of that you hear about.
There's no generic answer for that. There's no one answer for that. It completely depends upon the individual situation. I could say that sometimes you need a bumpier ride to wake up. Sometimes, in order to listen, you need to be stopped in your tracks. And if that is what needs to happen, then that is what needs to happen. And that is actually desired by that consciousness, which we see as the person. Not consciously, obviously.
And even death.
What about it?
Well, if someone, as a 6-year-old, falls into a well and dies, on that unconscious level, or whatever level, that being needed to do that?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. There is no incident.
There's no incident?
Incident. There are no...
Accident.
Well, incident. There is no accident.
That's what I'm asking.
Again, seeing that, how can we complain? If we see this so clearly, how can we complain? Because we're complaining about one possible reflection of our state of being. So it's just a signpost to return to your state of being, to enjoy your frequency to the fullest, without any knowledge of the world, more and more, every moment. Are you going to frown at your own mirror, or are you going to smile? Are you going to be fearless? Are you going to trust? What is your energy like right now? What is your state like right now? Right now. Can only be right now. Whatever it is right now is an indication of the experiences to come. The kind of experiences. Because obviously, again, an experience does not mean anything in and of itself. But the types of experiences that reflect to you what means to you, what feels to you to be closely related to that state that you experience right now as your own essence, as your own beingness. Whatever needs to reflect that, whatever experience is an accurate reflection of that frequency. That's what naturally will happen. And it all depends on you. It all depends on you. And again, there's only one choice, so don't get lost in any sort of doership, because if you get lost in any sort of doership, you've already missed a choice. And so you got another choice right there, to step into your true self, to return to being. And you'll see more and more that your own state of being becomes your excitement, your bliss, your freedom. That becomes the key. There will be less and less looking at the reflection, trying to determine what to do next. You are remembering that you are completely self-empowered. So relax all thoughts, all worries, and notice that you remain this light that sees, this inescapable light that is, that makes up your sense that you are even experiencing. That light which can never really go, it's always there whenever you check in with it. Become more and more and more aware of that already is, that which already is. Snap the focus on outside experiences as if they are outside. That's just a sensation appearing inside. The sense of an outside world appears right here. You've never felt the sense of an outside world out there. All you ever feel is as here, as this here and now space you experience. That's all you can experience. You can be more aware of the potential of the universe. You can grow more expanded, if you will. That happens naturally as a result of all forms of enlightenment. There is a certain expansion happening. A certain expansion, a greater knowledge of what or who you are. A greater understanding, a greater seeing of the fact that you are, in fact, freer than you thought you were. That you are, in fact, more than you believe you are. That is expansion. And that enables more structure to fall away and more lucidity to take its place. More flexibility to take its place. More timelessness. A sense of timelessness. The now is completely timeless. And where is your state of being? It is always now. Where is your natural, enjoyable frequency, devoid of worries about an external world? It is always here, right now. And you are always here, right now. Whether you think you are or not. This can be realized more and more so that it becomes more and more obvious and it starts to outshine the assumptions of the person.
So why would one want to experience pain and suffering when in the world when we can just go into being joyous and going into beingness?
Well, do you? What do you prefer?
Of course, I prefer joy and beingness. But
Then where's
my
the
question
question?
is, why would I want to experience pain and suffering?
You wouldn't, would you? Do you?
Not consciously.
If you find yourself experiencing something that does not resonate with you, then the option is to either define it in the same way that you have been, or to transform it by simply shifting back to the enjoyable, innate positivity, which is not necessarily positive as opposed to negative. It's more like a whole embrace. The let be of experiences, letting be of experiences the way they appear to come up, without elaboration of this means this or that means that. So when you meet those experiences, it is about your response. It is about your state of being. It is about where your attention is sort of rested. Is it rested in the assumption that it means something? Or do you use that opportunity to transform, to give up your natural frequency, your natural freedom, your natural empowerment? So even as we are experiencing suffering, there is still, the choice is still the same. Do you want to experience it as suffering, or do you want to experience your own natural state, your own natural frequency in response to what's appearing? Because as you do that, you'll see that the concept, this is terrible, isn't there. There's just your own presence. In the exact same situation that formerly it was terrible. But now because you made the choice to be the only choice there is to be yourself, And yourself is innately good, I assume. So you will see goodness in that which appeared terrible. You will see grace or benevolence in that which formerly appeared to be a holocaust. So the choice remains the same. It's not about why this, why that. It's about what. What's the choice right now?
I hear what you're saying.
Thank you.